Let's get it. Happy New Year. Welcome back to the station. Welcome back to the channel. Y'all know it is your boy Ray G. This is Mock Draft Monday. Every single Monday, we're talking something mock draft related. And today, we're going not one, but 2 rounds through a 2025 mock draft. Now, the wrinkle to this one, I'm only making the first 18 picks, the teams that currently are not in the playoff. Now that we know where the draft order is, picks 1 through 18, we could really start to have some fun, go a little bit deeper. I'm not going to make the picks for the teams that are currently in the playoffs. We'll let the PFF mock draft simulator mock those picks. We'll talk through them, and then we'll hit round 2 and do it again for the top 18 picks in each round. Now, I pay attention to the comments, so we'll talk through some of the players who I've mocked to certain teams in the past that you all say my fan base and my team would never do such a thing. But we're going to talk through some of these. No trades. We will make trades once all 32 teams have played. We know who the Super Bowl champion is. We got a lot of time for the silly shenanigans. But when we make trades, I want to make sure that we're not just trading a trade, going through some historical stuff, what certain ranges typically go for, so we can make this as realistic of an unpredictable exercise as we can. So if your first comment is the Titans were never going to pick at 1, they're trading down, we're not doing that in this mock. Let's just enjoy the exercise for what it is. Talk about some of these players, and now that we've got from at least 18 teams some potential needs on these teams, we try to find some fits for some of these players. So if you stick around to the end of the exercise, hit that subscribe button for your boy. This is all we do over here, all draft, all the time, rookie prospect profiles, 2025 2-round mock. Let's get right into it. And at the bottom, you'll see we've got the Senior Bowl roster tracker at the bottom scrolling. I'll be down in Mobile in a couple weeks. Get to see a lot of these guys in person. Be able to come back with some more in-person live scouting notes for some of these players and a lot of these players that we're going to talk about today. So right at the top of the draft, you got the Tennessee Titans picking number 1. Look, they're not going into next season with Mason Rudolph. They're not going into next season with Will Levis. They went back to him, and you saw the same thing happens. Not the guy, not the answer. Brian Callahan's second year there, he didn't get a chance to shop for the groceries. He came into the house, and they said, this is what you got. Cook with it. He tried. He failed miserably. So they're going to give him an opportunity to reset his way. All the talk over this past weekend was how Shedeur Sanders, quarterback out of Colorado, does not have a first-round grade. Everybody was excited to talk about how they don't have a first-round grade on Shedeur and that the Tennessee Titans are in love with Miami quarterback Cam Ward. So right here at the top of the draft, we're going to trust the vibes of the rumor mill that Cam Ward and Tennessee might be a pair, and they reset their franchise with the quarterback out of Miami. Now, folks, vibe with me here. Couple of ways we can go about this number 2 overall pick for the Cleveland Browns. Now, information came out this morning, today, Monday, January 6th, that Deshaun Watson has had a setback in his Achilles recovery. Now, for those of y'all that don't know, I tore my Achilles a couple of years ago playing damn football. It's tough, man. So when you hear the setback, my first thing goes to re-rupture, but I'm not his doctor, so I'm not going to speculate neither here nor there. But that definitely puts Cleveland in need of a quarterback right here. Now, let's just go off the vibe for this exercise that Shedeur Sanders is not a first-round caliber quarterback as the scouts, whom are nameless at this point, say he is. I think he is, but let's just go with that vibe. Here at pick 2, Cleveland's got a ton of needs. Quarterback, wide receiver, tackle, tight end, wide receiver, running back, everything. Everybody across the offensive line. But best player available, a lot of people think, is Heisman Trophy winning defensive back / wide receiver Travis Hunter. If Shedeur doesn't have a first-round grade and he doesn't have the arm strength to throw outside in the cold, and you got to battle in the NFC North against Burrow twice a year, Lamar twice a year, deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers defense twice a year, let the Browns just say, we're good. We're good. We're going to take best player available. We're going to upgrade our defense. We're going to bring butts to the seats. We're going to get our fan base excited. We are going to draft Travis Hunter. What does the rest of the draft look like? And what would Cleveland's quarterback outlook look like? Well, let's do the exercise. Cleveland at number 2, pass on Shedeur Sanders. Deion doesn't want him to go there. Shedeur doesn't want to go there. Cleveland doesn't want any more quarterback drama after dealing with Deshaun Watson. They figure out something. Sam Darnold on a 1-year deal. They draft Travis Hunter at number 2 overall. Now, that would leave the New York Giants in a great spot, who it came out today that both Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll will be back. I guess they'll trust the process, get an upgrade at the quarterback position, and this may not have worked out any better for the New York Giants than Shedeur Sanders falling in their lap. So while the Browns pass on quarterback, and Browns fans just vibe with me, we're going 2 rounds deep. Let's see how this thing looks if they did pass on the quarterback there. At number 3, Shedeur Sanders, quarterback. He fits kind of what Daboll wants to do. You're accurate passer. I think this would be good for Malik Neighbors. I like Wan'Dale Robinson there. Daniel Bellinger, Theo Johnson at tight end. Andrew Thomas back healthy. Solidify that offensive front. Maybe we attack that in round 2. But right here, they get the quarterback of the future. He already had on the Giants cleats. Shedeur Sanders, you're a New York Giant. Pick 4, the New England Patriots got rid of, let go, released, fired Gerard Mayo. One and done for Mayo. A lot of speculation and rumor about Ben Johnson coming in to New England to work with Drake May. Ben Johnson in New England, Ben Johnson in Jacksonville. Trent Baalke still there. You got Robert Kraft in the building in New England. What will Ben Johnson do? Let's say either of these jobs. Pick 4 and 5, New England and Jacksonville, attractive jobs because they've got young quarterbacks under contract. Right here, the New England Patriots, it doesn't matter which quarterback they get. I think at this point it's BPA, best player available. While sure, Tet McMillan's the wide receiver 1, I'm not taking Tet Milk 4 overall. That'd be the second highest drafted wide receiver in NFL history. You know, it's Megatron, I think, at 4. You got Jamar at 5, 6. Tet McMillan isn't in that category. I'm not taking Tet McMillan at number 4 overall. But what I will do for New England, playing in a division where you got to deal with Josh Allen twice a year, playing in a division where if Mike McDaniel and the Miami Dolphins get their stuff together, you got to deal with them a couple of times a season, and who knows what the Jets are going to do. But ultimately, all roads lead through Buffalo. Get after him, make life hell. Abdul Carter at pick 4, he's going higher and higher and higher. Defensive end, edge rusher out of Penn State, freak athlete. A lot of people are going to compare him to Micah Parsons in this class. Both played at Penn State, both athletic, both wear number 11. I don't know if he's as athletic as Micah, but it's probably razor-thin close. Abdul Carter is going to be a top 5 pick in the 25 draft in New England. They got Christian Gonzalez on that side of the ball. They draft Abdul Carter, and I promise you, Ben Johnson or whomever it is, they're going to prioritize that wide receiver position. But right here, let's help that defense out. Abdul Carter at 4, best player available to the New England Patriots. At pick 5, Jacksonville is on the clock. Doug Peterson is gone. Trent Baalke is in. And you know what? Baalke, from a draft talent perspective, brought in Trevor Lawrence. They got Brian Thomas Jr., Brenton Strange, Trayvon Walker playing a little bit better. Maybe not number 1 overall pick better. But right here, Jacksonville, they've got a need up front. They've got a need on the defensive side of the ball. Let's attack and prioritize cornerback Will Johnson. I believe the best pure cover corner in this class. Maybe not as elite athleticism as Travis Hunter, but Will Johnson going to upgrade this Jacksonville Jaguars pass defense right away. Love the fit in Jacksonville with Tyson Campbell there, Trayvon Walker, another year of experience on the defensive front, Josh Allen, etc. Raiders on the clock at pick 6. Quarterback dreams, no mas. Not happening, at least not at pick 6 for the Raiders. No Shedeur Sanders, no Cam Ward, if either of those guys were their personal favorite cup of tea. But they've got to get some help. I think Aiden O'Connell can get them through a struggle bus season. I think Aiden O'Connell, you attack or prioritize a second or a third round rookie developmental quarterback. Think about what the Saints did with Spencer Rattler. I don't think the Saints are viewing Rattler as some long-term answer at the position, but they probably are like, oh, we got a pretty good, competent backup quarterback that we can continue to grow and develop. And I think the Raiders here in 2025, they do that same thing and wait for a much better, at least on paper, quarterback class in 2026, headlined by LSU quarterback Garrett Nussmeier, who played his week 1 game against USC in Allegiant Stadium this past season. So right here, the Raiders, they make sure that they're ready. They're ready for their quarterback of the future. And I think right here at pick 6, Tet McMillan or Mason Graham would be a fit for the Raiders. I'm going to prioritize the wide receiver. You look at that pass-catching group. You've got Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers, a veteran, but they need somebody else. Tet McMillan, let's make this season, let's use this year to develop and grow Tet McMillan, a la what the Atlanta Falcons did for a couple of years with Drake London. And when they finally hit on that quarterback, Michael Penix, you saw how good that connection was. Tet McMillan, 6 overall to the Las Vegas Raiders, leaving the Jets on the clock here at pick 7. Needs quarterback, tight end, D-line, and cornerback. This is easy. The Jets are sitting here. Player that could have gone off the board at pick 5, player that could have gone off the board at pick 6, especially with the pending situation with Max Crosby. Mason Graham, versatile interior defensive lineman. They can play him inside, 3 technique, 5 technique, depending on what type of defense it is. Mason Graham, number 3 overall on PFF's board. There's not a lot to say. This is a damn good player right here at pick 7 going to the Jets. At pick 8, we got the Carolina Panthers on the clock, and kind of a situation where I don't like this for Carolina. You know, Mason Graham, Abdul Carter, Tet McMillan, all of those players seem like great fits for Carolina, but they went out there, beat the Falcons. Bryce Young does look like the quarterback of the future, so PFF, please update this. They don't need a quarterback, but they definitely need edge, defense, wide receiver. We saw the defense give up damn near 40 against the Atlanta Falcons. When we look on the board, best available defender, you've got Malachi Starks, the safety out of Georgia. You've got Nick Scourtron out of Texas A&M, edge rusher. But I believe speed, explosiveness, versatility, some sort of replacement level player for Brian Burns. You're not going to get a one-for-one replacement for Brian Burns. So here at pick 8, I do think this would be a spot if we were doing trades. You see the Dolphins want to come up right here, potential trade with the Miami Dolphins. We might be able to make a trade, bring Carolina down a little bit, acquire some picks. Edge rusher, lineman. You got Will Campbell out of LSU. This is a tough call for me. I think at this point, knowing that they need an edge defender, I think Nick Scourtron is a little more toolsy than some of the other guys. I think James Pierce is pro-ready right now. But if Scourtron hits, and depending on who this defensive coordinator is, maybe it doesn't feel like one of those Myles Garrett type defensive impact players, but he's damn good. He's got the size to hold up against the run, playing the run and getting after the quarterback. Maybe a little high for Nick Scourtron right here, but it's a position of need. And right now, I just don't think there's a wide receiver that is prospect worthy enough for Carolina to take inside the top 10. So right here, Nick Scourtron out of Texas A&M, edge defender, not a Brian Burns replacement, but definitely somebody needed to help this defense out. The New Orleans Saints are on the clock at pick 9, and that was literally my pick for the New Orleans Saints, was Nick Scourtron to fill in, be that defensive lineman, a one-for-one, not one-for-one, but a replacement to learn and grow in that Cam Jordan role. But he's gone, off the clock. So we've got other defensive linemen. I made this exercise even more difficult for myself by doing that. You've got Talik Williams, who balled out for Ohio State. I don't know how Talik Williams will last until the 20s. You've got Kenneth Grant, more of an interior defensive lineman. But you got Mykel Williams here on the edge. Could this be a play for the New Orleans Saints, knowing in this division, Baker Mayfield, Bryce Young, go get somebody that can go get after the passer. Maybe a little early for Mykel Williams. I don't think it's too early for Kenneth Grant. He and Mason Graham were both very interchangeable along that offensive front. You could go offensive tackle, and a lot of people think that Will Campbell, the tackle out of LSU, is going to eventually kick inside to guard. So if you're telling me right now, the Saints, who I believe lost 2 or 3 offensive linemen in the preseason going into this 2024 year, couldn't pass protect, Will Campbell stays home in Louisiana. I don't know how the Saints would pass him up. So right here, we're not going to reach for Mykel Williams just yet. Not going to go defensive lineman just yet, but right here, Will Campbell, whomever's playing quarterback for the Saints, Derek Carr, Spencer Rattler, get some protection for your quarterback up front. And that, again, snipes the pick that I had for the Chicago Bears, which is Will Campbell. I'm just killing myself. But Josh Simmons out of Ohio State, this young man suffered an injury, and had not been for that injury, I mean, he was playing like a top 10 pick. So right here at pick 10, knowing that the Bears are going to have a new coaching regime, new offensive coordinator, and the number one priority, love him or hate him, is protect Caleb Williams, get him some damn protection. Josh Simmons, tackle out of Ohio State, pick 10 to the Chicago Bears. So let's talk through this one. Pick 1, Cam Ward. Pick number 2, Travis Hunter. We had Shedeur at 3, Abdul Carter at 4, Will Johnson, top 5. At 6, Tet McMillan, wide receiver out of Arizona, goes to the Raiders. Mason Graham, defensive lineman of the Michigan Wolverines, goes to the Jets. Nick Scourtron, edge rusher out of A&M, goes to the Panthers. Will Campbell, tackle guard, LSU, stays in Louisiana, goes to the Saints. And Josh Simmons, tackle out of Ohio State, to the Chicago Bears. In my last mock here at pick 11, I had the San Francisco 49ers selecting Ashton Jeanty, replacement for Christian McCaffrey. I don't believe CMC just comes back and just plays just like he left. You know, no issues. Knees are fine. 2 lower body injuries for an aging running back. I think they need to start looking towards the future. There were some 49ers fans who said, man, I don't agree with the pick, but it will be hard for me to see how Kyle Shanahan would pass on a talent like Jeanty. We're not going to do it today. We're not going to take a running back here at this spot. PFF says positions of need, guard, tackle, cornerback. Offensive line is what I want to focus on for the 49ers. Trent Williams, when he's on the field, we know is one of the best offensive linemen, future Hall of Famer. As Brock Purdy or whomever it is, that offensive front's got to be able to play better. You got to hold up pass protection, give Brock Purdy or whomever's playing quarterback time to hit those playmaking weapons. You could focus on the defensive side of the ball. I know Greenlaw came back from the Achilles tear, so he wasn't 100%. Kelvin Banks has fallen a little bit of late. I've seen, shout out to my dog, Damian Parson over at Bleacher Report, who put me on this prospect, this offensive lineman out of Missouri who's getting pumped up right now. And here he is right here, Armand Mimbu. You got to go read that scouting report on this kid. But he's somebody I want to continue to have on the radar for us that was being drafted, I believe, in that mock, even ahead of Kelvin Banks right here. You've got this other offensive tackle, Aireontae Ersery out of Minnesota, big 6'6", 330-pound tackle. He doesn't look like a guard. He looks like a tackle. So Kelvin Banks, tackle, guard, swing combination, still right now 11th ranked player on PFF's board. You watch him versus Georgia. I mean, he and Jalen Walker had some battles. Jalen Walker caused some problems for him in that game, but right now still one of the better offensive line prospects in this class. So right now, as we figure some things out with the offensive line, we can interchange a couple of these guys. Kelvin Banks right here at pick 11 to the 49ers. So there you go, 49ers fans. No running back, no Ashton Jeanty. You leave him right there for the Dallas Cowboys. You know they're going to do it. They're running it back with Mike McCarthy. We'll see what they do with Rico Dowdle. CeeDee Lamb gets back healthy. Dak Prescott. I don't know how Jerry Jones will be able to help himself. If I'm drafting for Dallas, I'm looking to prioritize the defensive side of the ball or upgrade my wide receiver 2 position. But for this mock, and we get a chance to draft for Dallas again, we are not going to take Ashton Jeanty. We're not doing it. You've got Jalen Walker, linebacker out of Georgia, ball of clay, a very, very talented, unrefined, not all the way there player yet, but it's there. And I continue to bang the table for this kid. Jalen Walker can play. He's athletic. Sign me up with the Dallas Cowboys. I know Cowboys fans, you're thinking, no, Ashton Jeanty. Just wait. Let's watch how this plays out. At pick 13, the Dolphins. Guard, tackle, cornerback. I hear you, Dolphins fans. Guard, tackle, cornerback. And Tyreek Hill has put on his Instagram page the deuces sign, the peace up sign like Antonio Brown. He said he wants out. Jalen Waddle has not been able to stay healthy. You've signed Tua to this long-term deal. I like Malik Washington. Mike McDaniel seemed like he's going to come back. If Tyreek, they move him, he doesn't want to come back. You've got Waddle, who you can't rely upon week in and week out. I don't know if there's a better wide receiver fit for what he does well in the slot, the creativity in which he can be used, than Missouri wide receiver Luther Burden. Yes, I see guard and tackle is needs. Go figure that out in free agency. Go get one of the most dynamic slot receivers in this class, Luther Burden III out of Missouri. You're not going to be the Tyreek Hill one-for-one replacement, but if that does come to pass, that is a big chunk of speed, athleticism, dynamism, fear removed from that offense. They got to replace that at some point. Luther Burden here at 13. At pick 14, what can go wrong did go wrong for the Indianapolis Colts. The draft selection of Anthony Richardson does not feel like it is panning out, but I really don't know what they do between now and then to change that quarterback situation. They've got to continue to grow him. You've got Josh Downs, Michael Pittman Jr., Alec Pierce, Adonai Mitchell. I'm sure the defensive side of the ball, you've got Malachi Starks right here at number 7. That would be a great fit. You got to see what you're going to get out of your number 4 overall pick. Your number 4 overall pick, and in my opinion, the best tight end in this class is Penn State tight end Tyler Warren, 6'6", 260 pounds, monster. Give Anthony Richardson an easy button. Right now, he does not have an easy button throw. Hell, we don't know if he can make the easy throw. But give him a 6'6", big frame, big body target. Tyler Warren, this is one of the draft fits and spots I've been pounding the table for all process. Here at pick 15, I like Caden Ellis off the edge. Matthew Judon has not done exactly what maybe Atlanta Falcons fans thought he would do, so we've got to get some defensive help. We got linebacker position of need, defensive line. Do you want to go interior D-line with Kenneth Grant, or do you want to go get somebody that can get after the quarterback and Mykel Williams? I feel like it's cheating a little bit going Mykel. Oh, he stays home in Georgia. It is a position of need. Interior D-line, I don't know as much about Atlanta's interior D-line, so we'll go with a position where a player can play a little bit of that edge outside linebacker. You got Shamar Stewart. I don't know if I'm taking Stewart over Mykel Williams. So right here at pick 15, we'll go Kenneth Grant. Falcons fans, talk to me about the interior D-line versus edge. Kenneth Grant continuing to give Judon another year, Ellis another year, make things a little bit easier with a big run stuffing interior defensive tackle that can get after the quarterback, or do you want to go straight to the outside? Falcons fans, let me know. But for this one, we're not going to make it super simple for Atlanta and the Falcons. We'll go with Kenneth Grant, the interior defensive lineman from Michigan. Pick 16, this makes this very easy for the Arizona Cardinals, whose defense did play better towards the end of the season, but they've got to get some pressure. Mykel Williams still on the board. Boom. Easy. The Cardinals go run to the clock and smash that, bring that Georgia kid to the Arizona Cardinals. We've got the Cincinnati Bengals, Seattle Seahawks, two fringe playoff teams. And let's just talk about what we saw from Cincy this year. Triple count, crown-winning wide receiver, T. Higgins, who's going to get paid a lot of money, whether that be Cincinnati or another team. Joe Burrow, who played like the NFL's MVP, if not for Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, and then making the damn playoffs, not losing to the Patriots. You've got the NFL sack leader in Trey Hendrickson, who's due for a contract, I believe. He could hold out and cause some problems, going on, I believe, 29, 30 years old. I personally think T. Higgins is going to be back in Cincinnati. And even if he's not, I don't believe that there is a wide receiver right here at pick 17 that you draft when you're going to pay Jamar Chase $120 million. He's getting higher than the Jefferson deal to be that guy. I like Yoshi Voss, but wide receiver is a priority. Jermaine Burton, some issues going on with him. Chase Brown, a little bit of durability issue with the ankle, but they had to put Amarius Mims out there, and he had one arm trying to protect Joe Burrow. It's protect Joe Burrow or upgrade the defense. Do you protect Joe Burrow? Lou Anarumo gone. Defenders, you've got a Shamar Stewart here. Talik Williams. I would love Big Talik in the middle for Cincinnati. I think Ersery is worthy enough to be selected here. I believe he is. They continue to talk about Cody Ford. You saw him trying to hold up the best he could. I'm going to take Ersery here, but I wouldn't be shocked if Cincy were sitting here and this played out this way. Talik Williams, interior D lineman. Walter Nolan from Mississippi. Edge rusher, this Princely kid. Jaheed Campbell out of Alabama. Those all could be defensive linemen. Campbell more of an outside linebacker. But Nolan, Talik Williams could all be fits. Even Shamar Stewart. Get Trey Hendrickson paid. Let's keep Joe Burrow upright. If Ersery were not on the board, I would take a defender over Wyatt Millam. But Ersery is here, 6'6", 330 pounds. He looks athletic. Go look at the duel between he and Abdul Carter playing in the Big Ten. I like what he's had to go up against. Jack Sawyer, Abdul Carter, Aireontae, Ersery right here at pick 17 to the Cincinnati Bengals. Pick 18, I went and looked because the Seahawks, I've been putting BPA in there, so I went to some of the beat reporters out in Seattle, and they said the easiest position to draft for Seattle is O-line. Just they need offensive line, Cam Williams. But I saw an interesting take. One of the, I guess, beat reporters or radio personalities, Bumpus or what's his name? I'll find his name. Said that wide receiver would be a position of need for the Seattle Seahawks. Apparently, DK Metcalf, y'all let me know, is falling out of favor out there and potentially not going to be back. Tyler Lockett's older. So you got to find somebody to complement with Jackson Smith and Jigba. I want to give Emeka Egbuka to him because he is one of my favorite wide receivers in this class, but they both play in the slot. So I don't really know how that fits right here, but if offensive line is what they need, you got big Cameron Williams out of Texas. Let's go to the interior offensive line. Guard play. Tyler Booker, where are you at? Interior O-line, there he is. Tyler Booker, Tate Ratledge at pick 18. If guard is one of their positions of need, get big Tyler Booker out of Alabama. So we're going to trust PFF here, trust the beat reporters' feet on the ground in Seattle. They're saying wide receiver, but O-line is the easiest position. Tyler Booker, I know that's going to hurt Houston because Houston could use an offensive lineman as well, but we're going Tyler Booker for the Seahawks, and then we'll let the rest of round one play out and talk through it and get into round two. So here we go. Let's round out round one. After we took Tyler Booker, I've seen this before. I've seen people saying Houston, running back for Houston. I personally think offensive line or somebody on the defensive side of the ball, maybe even a wide receiver. But Houston goes Ashton Genty, running back out of Boise State. Denver Gives Bo Nix another option with Emeka Egbuka. I really like that fit. Benjamin Morrison, the cornerback out of Notre Dame, goes to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Cornerback is a position of need for the Bucs, so they stayed true to that. At pick 22, the Pittsburgh Steelers, with positions need according to PFF, wide receiver, tackle, and linebacker, they take Malachi Starks, the safety out of Georgia. So Malachi Starks, you're pairing him up with Minkah Fitzpatrick. You've got Wyatt Millam, the tackle out of West Virginia, going to the Rams. So Matt Stafford's back. He's old. He can't move. Protect him. They invested in Jonah Jackson, and I believe there was another guy last year on the offensive line. So pouring back into that offensive line. Green Bay in this mock takes tight end Colston Loveland. Yeah, I don't know about that one. You got Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave in the building. I don't know about that one. Shamar Stewart, the edge rusher out of Texas A&M, goes to the Chargers at pick 25. Trey Amos, cornerback. We know the Commanders need defensive help. Goes to the Washington Commanders. I like Trey Amos out of Ole Miss. Siobhan Revel, cornerback out of East Carolina, goes to Baltimore. That just feels like a Baltimore pick. If his knee is good, he and Humphrey and Nate Wiggins, nasty. Cam Williams. I love this pick for the Minnesota Vikings. We saw the Lions get after ass. I mean, the pressure was there all night for Sam Darnold. So knowing in this situation they move on from Darnold, you've got J.J. McCarthy in, help protect your young quarterback. I like the pick right here by the Vikings. Talik Williams. This is who I had mocked to the Buffalo Bills last week. I asked some beat reporters from Buffalo, is interior defensive line a need? And they said absolutely all of defensive line is a need for Buffalo. If you did not see his game in the college football game that they just played, Ohio State versus Oregon, my goodness, go watch Talik Williams fly all over that field. At pick 30, the Philadelphia Eagles, Elick Manor here at pick 30, wide receiver out of Stanford. Maybe they're looking for that wide receiver 3, another option for Jalen Hurts to not throw to and just run the ball because they are a dominant rushing team. Elick is a good wide receiver. I definitely think he's within that first-round territory. Philly, I think they've got some other priorities probably than wide receiver 3, but maybe. Here we go at pick. Let me scroll up a little bit. Sorry about that. Pick 31, you've got Omarion Hampton, running back out of North Carolina. I have made this pick when this player myself with the same team. So there you go. You got a running back going to Kansas City, one of the positions of need according to PFF. And TJ Sanders, interior D-line out of South Carolina, going to the Super Bowl champs in this mock, the Detroit Lions at pick 32. So now we're getting into round 2 of the mock. This is the first time we've gone 2 rounds. I'm only going through like the first 18 picks, and we'll speed this up. But I really want to talk about what happens for Cleveland if they pass on a quarterback. So everybody at the top, you know, oh, man, I can't believe they passed on Shedeur Sanders. They took Travis Hunter. Well, at pick 2, because Watson is under contract, and we know we don't want him long-term, you could find you a bridge quarterback here in round 2, Browns fans. Would you rather have had Shedeur Sanders, and let's just say you needed a receiver? You got Restrepo, you've got Isaiah Bond, who we don't even know is in it, Tez Johnson, Trey Harris out of Ole Miss. Cornerbacks right here available for you. Let's get wide receivers off the board. Jahdae Barron. I like Jahdae Barron. Shedeur Sanders, Jahdae Barron. I don't know if he's a pure corner, but I like Barron. Maxwell Harrison, Zy Alexander. But I think in this scenario, taking Hunter here at pick 2, getting that type of talent, and then doubling back at the quarterback position here, where you can take a developmental stab on a Jalen Milroe or the player who's been steamed up a ton, Jackson Dart, who's a little bit lower on the board. We'll get a chance to see him as well in Mobile. This is where these type of second-round picks go. Will Levis, Kyle Trask, Jalen Hurts, those were all second-round picks. Now, maybe not at the top of the second, but Cleveland, right here at pick 33, you get your pick of the litter. They get their choice, their pick of the litter here at pick 33. So what we're going to do is give them a developmental quarterback to sit behind Watson or Darnold or Jameis Winston or whomever it is. But I like this for the Browns. Jalen Milroe at pick 33 fills a position of need. He's extremely talented. He ain't ready to play right now. But this doesn't put him in a position to have to get on the field right away. I like this. Jalen Milroe, pick 33 for the Cleveland Browns. At pick 34, Giants are back on the clock. Quarterback, tackle, and cornerback positions of need. I mean, I'm staring at James Pierce. That's still on the board. I know that's not one of the positions of need. They've got Brian Burns, but man, how is he still on the board here in the second round? I don't think he'll last long. But let's take a look at pass-catching options for Shedeur Sanders. Doesn't have any of his guys. You got Trey Harris out of Ole Miss. Wouldn't mind that. But I like Malik Neighbors. You've got Wandell. Let's focus on the offensive side of the ball, maybe defense. Cornerback, Jade Barron is still right here. Jaheed Campbell off the edge. Landon Jackson, Walter Nolan, pair him inside with Big Dexter Lawrence. But Gray Zabel right here, tackle out of North Dakota State. Let's continue to upgrade, and we know we got to keep Shedeur upright. We know we got to keep him upright. We've got a nice young running back that we like. I think Zabel right here, we'll get a chance to see him in a couple of weeks. Let's go with the tackle 37 on PFF's board right here to the Giants. Putting Tennessee back on the clock at pick 35. You took Cam Ward in round 1. I know, you know, that you can't go into next year with Nick Westbrook-Akine and Calvin Ridley. That's about it. So you've got a couple of options here. If you are the Titans fans, tackle position right now, you know, there might be a couple of guys. This kid right here, we're going to take him soon. We're going to take Armand Mimbu, and we'll do some reporting on him, but not here at the top of the second, but we're going to take him sometime here in the second. But what about getting Cam Ward, somebody that he's comfortable with? We see how effective Justin Herbert is playing with a quote-unquote slot-only wide receiver, and I think the best pure slot wide receiver in this class is his former teammate, Miami wide receiver Xavier Restrepo. He'll be in Mobile. He's a dynamic player, and if he can win inside at the slot, that chemistry with Cam Ward, you're talking about with a defense that played well at times for Tennessee this year, a lot of times. Let's upgrade this offense. Let's get some speed out there. Restrepo paired with Cam Ward. Tennessee, they get Cam Ward's guy. They take Ward in round 1, and they say, you know what? We're gonna do exactly what Joe Burrow did. We're just gonna do it a year. You know, we're gonna do it in the same year. We're gonna take your You're gonna take your wide receiver. So Cam Ward and Xavier Restrepo to the Tennessee Titans. Jacksonville is on the clock, and remember, in round 1, they went after the cornerback position. The Jacksonville Jaguars got Will Johnson, cornerback out of Michigan. So right here, guard, tackle, and cornerback, positions of need. Let's do it. Jade Barron, cornerback out of Texas. I don't know if he's a traditional outside corner or nickel corner, sort of like Mike Sarensil out of the Commanders, but he can play. Barron is a stud. Raiders are on the clock at pick 37, and they could not run to the counter fast enough and smash the draft selection of James Pierce, the edge rusher out of Tennessee. Whether Max is there or not, you get Christian Wilkins back healthy, you've got to get somebody else to get after the quarterback. James Pierce being on the board here at pick 37. I've seen him mocked as high as 15 overall. I've mocked him inside the top 20. He's fallen to Philadelphia at 29, so to be here on the board at 37 seems unlikely. We didn't make a lot of those picks, but if he's on the clock right here at pick 37 for the Raiders, I don't know how anybody wouldn't want to smash that draft selection. So the Raiders get James Pierce. Right now we are on the clock. Pick 38, New England is on the clock. And remember, they went Abdul Carter. They just said, damn the receiver position. We want Abdul Carter. Here we are in round 2, and there are still tremendous wide receivers on the board. None better in this spot, in my opinion. You got Kyron Lacy out of LSU, Trey Harris out of Ole Miss. You've got a big physical wide receiver, and let's just say they do pry T. Higgins away from Cincinnati. So you got T. Higgins with Ben Johnson, Drake May. You've got Pop Douglas that can play in the slot. And your other outside wide receiver, yeah, let's go big 6'3" Trey Harris. What is 6'3", 210? We're going to go Trey Harris as that next big body, the Twin Towers on the outside. So Drake May, even though he didn't get Big Tet McMillan, they are okay with SEC wide receiver Trey Harris at pick 38. The Bears on the clock at pick 39. This is a pick acquired from Carolina. Even though Carolina looks like they're okay with Bryce, they would have much rather had this 39 pick. They would have loved to have this in addition to Bryce Young, but neither here nor there. Bears are picking at pick 39. And in round 1, I think this was one of the spots where they went tackle. Josh Simmons out of Ohio State. So Chicago, defensive line. Can they get somebody to get after opposing team's quarterback? Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss. Get in the middle. You got to deal with the Lions. You got to deal with the Vikings. You got to deal with the Packers. Pressure right up the gut. If you want to affect a young quarterback, Jared Goff and all that play action stuff they want to run, you know what Green Bay is going to want to do, throw the ball. Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss. They go back-to-back. I really like that fit of Nolan in Chicago. Here we are at pick 40. Saints are on the clock. Guard and defensive line positions of need. Who did we take? Will Campbell out of LSU for the Saints. So defensive line, Landon Jackson right here out of Arkansas. You've got Jahad Campbell out of Alabama on the defensive line. Jack Sawyer, JTT, edge. I think right here, Landon Jackson fits he's a big dude. He's like 6'7", 6'8". I don't know what defensive style they're going to run under their new regime and new head coach, but Landon Jackson, a player that I've seen mocked inside of round 1, fallen here, pick 40, defensive line. He's edge, but he's one of those big edge rushers. If they play a 3-4, is he that outside technique defensive end? Maybe he can do some of that stuff. Landon Jackson is pretty damn quick as well. Chicago back on the clock at pick 41, so they get back-to-back. They improved the trenches. They went trenches with Will Campbell, trenches with Walter Nolan, and right here, is there something they can do to continue to help out their young rookie quarterback? Let's go offensive line. I want to see if Ratledge is there. I didn't see Tate Ratledge off the board yet. There he is. Guard Tate Ratledge out of Georgia. I mean, Bears fans, how aggressive do you get? How aggressive do you get? In round 1, you went Josh Simmons, the tackle. You hope that he could develop into an outside starting tackle. They took Darnell Wright a couple of years ago. We've already invested in another offensive lineman in this class. Walter Nolan, interior D-line. Do we need to get a playmaker for the Chicago Bears? Best available player, you got Jahid Campbell right here. We've attacked D-line. Where do the Bears go? Mike Green is available. Mike Green. Tight end. They brought in Gerald Everett, not really effective. You've got Cole Kmet there, but he's not a dynamic, explosive playmaker. Harold Fannin Jr. out of Boise State. This young man over 1,500 receiving yards, 10 touchdowns, the yak. Is this a spot now? He's not a traditional inline tight end, but I don't believe Keenan Allen is under contract. You've got Rome Odunze. You have Cole Kmet as one of your tight ends, but maybe a dynamic playmaker like a Harold Fannin Jr. would make a little sense for Chicago. I'm going to get crazy and do it. I feel like we've done a good job of attacking and addressing needs for the Bears. We went O-tackle and Simmons, Walter Nolan. Right here, Harold Fannin Jr. out of Bowling Green. We're going to do it. We're drafting him to Chicago Bears. Let's give Caleb Williams a dynamic pass-catching weapon. I'm sure Bears fans will hate it. We're in round 2, damn it. We're in round 2. Jets are on the clock at pick 42. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't believe Aaron Rodgers is going to come back, which puts them in a position to probably need a bridge quarterback. But again, much like the Cleveland Browns here at pick 33, Jets fans, they took Mason Graham, one of the best players in this class in round 1. And here in round 2 for the Jets, thinking about their future, do they want to give it 1 year? Do they want to see what Jackson Dart out of Ole Miss can do in a 1-year sample size to potentially be the quarterback of the future? Jets took Geno Smith in round 2. I believe Christian Hackenberg was another round 2 pick. New regime. I can see the Jets taking this charismatic, big-armed quarterback out of Ole Miss here at pick 42. It's one of their positions of need. Jackson Dart, maybe that's enough to keep Garrett Wilson happy in New York. So the Jets take Jackson Dart. 49ers are on the clock at pick 43. The fans told me they will never, ever take a running back in round 1, so they missed out on Ashton Genty. Positions of need for the 49ers, according to this. Cornerback, still a big position of need. We addressed offensive line with Kelvin Banks in round 1. I think right here, this is where you take some swings. Outside linebacker, you got Xavier Watts out of Notre Dame right here. Mike Green, edge rusher out of Marshall. Really like Mike Green. But I think thinking about this team, man, there's some good edge rushers still right here. Jack Sawyer, I like it. I like Sawyer. I like JTT. Let's go to the cornerback position quickly before we make this pick. Mello Dotson, Denzel Burke is falling a little bit. Yeah, I think we're going, we need to look best player available. And outside linebacker, edge rusher, safety, and Xavier Watts, all players I think could fit for San Francisco right here. We're going to take linebacker, outside linebacker, edge rusher, Jahid Campbell out of Alabama, pro-ready guy. If Greenlaw isn't 100%, maybe they can plug and play him in some spots right there. So we're going to go Jahid Campbell out of Alabama. And Dallas is on the clock at pick 44. Round 1, Dallas went edge rusher, a linebacker, outside linebacker, edge rusher, Jalen Walker. They passed on Ashton Jeanty, and here they are, pick 44 in round 2. And let's just make sure the running back position is still populated. It is. You've got Cam Scatteraboo out of Arizona State, Dylan Sampson, Tennessee, Quinshon Judkins, Travion Henderson, Devin Neal, DJ Giddens right here for the Dallas Cowboys in round 2. If they re-sign Rico Dowdle and you want an explosive, dynamic, Jahmyr Gibbs-like option to pair with more of the physical running back in Rico Dowdle, I don't think there's a better couple in this class than R.J. Harvey and Travion Henderson. If you're looking to replicate what we could have had back when the Dallas Cowboys should have drafted Jalen Ramsey in round 1 and Derrick Henry in round 2, then I believe my RB3 in this class at 6'2", 225 pounds, and probably the type of player that's going to run a sub-4.5 40-yard dash at the scouting combine, Iowa's Caleb Johnson. Sign me up. We don't have to take Ashton Jeanty in round 1 when you can get a Caleb Johnson here in round 2. I love this pick. I would love the fit. Running back is a position of need. We address linebacker with an elite type of ball of clay and Jalen Walker in round 1, and then Caleb Johnson here in round 2. Loving it. Loving it. Big Ten ball, SEC ball. Let's freaking go. Big Ten ball, SEC ball. Let's go. The Indianapolis Colts are on the clock at pick 45. We address tight end with Tyler Warren in round 1. Linebacker and safety still positions of need for the Indianapolis Colts, and they are in good hands at the safety position. I just want to highlight a couple that I really like. Xavier Watts, right here, the safety, All-American safety out of Notre Dame, and then Billy Bowman, USC from Oklahoma, and then USC's Kamari Ramsey. They got him a lot lower down here, but I think once we get through the process, Ramsey's going to be a lot higher. Right here, Xavier Watts out of Notre Dame, the All-American safety. No Malachi Starks, but pretty damn good going to the Indianapolis Colts. The Falcons are on the clock at pick 46, and they went interior defensive line in round 1. No offense for the Falcons. Maybe an O-tackle. You got to replace tight end sometime down the line, but you got to get after the quarterback, and we went interior defensive line with the first pick. Princely, is it McMillan? I'll figure out the pronunciation. He'll be at Mobile in the Senior Bowl. I actually saw this his name in the Bleacher Report scouting mock, and he was inside of round 1 as well, saying he's a dynamic edge rusher. So we're going to do that for Atlanta. They solidified that interior. They go right back to the outside with the edge rusher out of Ole Miss. The Cardinals are on the clock at pick 47, and I want to go do it. I talked about that tackle that the Bleacher Report draft staff had talked about inside of round 1. I believe he's a top 15 pick. Armand Mimbou, right here, tackle out of Missouri. Got to do some work on him, but they said he was a top 20 pick inside that mock. Out of Missouri, SEC tackle. We'll give him to Arizona. Let's get Kyler Murray some help. He needs all the protection that he can get. Miami Dolphins are on the clock, and they went with the other Missouri Tiger in Luther Burden at pick 13 right here, knowing that they need offensive help. I believe Tate Ratledge from Georgia is still there on the interior. Yeah, there he is right here out of Georgia. Big player, good player. Josh Connerly also getting a lot of buzz as well. So I think Miami, whether they go tackle or they try to solidify that interior, let's go Tate Ratledge out of Georgia. That makes some sense right there. We've got the Bengals at pick 49. We went with Aireontae Ersery at pick 17, solidifying that outside. So let's get back to the defensive front. We wanted some D-line for the Cincinnati Bengals, interior D-line. Let's see who's available. I know it's a nice interior D. Dayon Walker, Derek Harmon still available. Boom, there's the pick. Derek Harmon, big defensive lineman out of Oregon. A lot of people have him going inside of round 1, so to fall to pick 49, I'm sure Bengals fans would be happy about that. And the final pick that we're going to make, we went with the offensive line in round 1 for the Seattle Seahawks, Tyler Booker, the guard out of Alabama, and the beat reporters, a lot of people saying they need to find another wide receiver. So let's go take a look at that position. And Jalen Royals out of Utah State, probably a little early for him. You got Tez Johnson, the speedster out of Oregon, but he still plays the same type of role that Jackson Smith and Jigba does. Kyron Lacey out of LSU, I could see it. Kyron Lacey's sort of on the mock list. I don't think Isaiah Bond is going to come out. Savion Williams, I like Savion, but let's take a look at the O-line position and see if there are any offensive linemen that we were missing right now that we should prioritize. You've got Chris Paul, the linebacker out of Ole Miss. Yeah, this is one where I'm fine on taking a shot. Who that wide receiver is going to be. Linebacker, let's go take a look at the linebackers really quickly. Barrett Carter, a little maybe too early. I like Danny Stutzman. Stutzman out of Oklahoma. But right here, this is one where I'm going to go. We're going to go best player available. We're going to go some of the best players available, positions of need. It's not a linebacker, edge, outside guy, high motor player, Jack Sawyer out of Ohio State, Seattle Seahawks. Let's let the simulator finish out this mock. They got my Panthers here. I get to make the Panthers pick. So what happened after Sawyer? His counterpart, JTT, goes. Edge rusher out of Ohio State goes to the Texans. Kyle Kennard, edge rusher out of South Carolina, to Denver. Mike Green, great fit to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then Donovan Ezuruku out of Boston College. Excuse me for butchering that, goes 54. So it just went edge rushers all the way down. Here at pick 55, the Carolina Panthers in round one. They went edge rusher in round one. It felt a little early for Nick Scourtron, but edge rusher, crazy athletic motor. You look at the size. He's not Brian Burns, but I mean, he can play and get after the opposing team's quarterback. At pick 55, let's try to get Bryce Young some help. Wide receivers available. You've got Kyron Lacy out of LSU. I don't believe Evan Stewart is coming out. Seeing if they've got any other players ranked low. This is just a problem here in 25. Like, the receiver class is good, but here at pick 55, would you rather, one of those wide receivers for Bryce Young, a tight end, got a Rondé Gadsden, Gunnar Helm out of Texas, or hell, I know you guys don't want to hear it, but do they take a running back to pair with Chuba Hubbard since they know that they're not going to have Jonathan Brooks next year? Or do they continue to go offensive line? I want to get Bryce Young some help. So let's really go through this, take a look at the wide receiver position. And I think a player that is probably not going to be, what do they need? They need an element, a dynamic playmaker out there that can provide. When Adam Thielen is your best, that's a problem. I don't think you're finding a true number one, but can you find another good number two to pair with if they sign a T. Higgins in free agency, make a trade for somebody, Tyreek Hill. I'm just throwing stuff at a wall. But I think Kyron Lacy is one of those pro-ready wide receivers that can come in and be an Adam Thielen-esque player for Bryce Young. LSU, very good track record of having pro-ready wide receivers. I like Ty Felton as well. His ability to win quickly. Is that what Bryce needs? Somebody that can win off the line of scrimmage. Ty Felton out of Maryland can do that. I think he's a little more complete than Kyron Lacy. So right here, a name that a lot of people may not know about right now. But Ty Felton out of Maryland, Kyron Lacy out of LSU could all be fits. We'll go with the guy that's got the track record. Kyron Lacy out of LSU. I think he's a more comparable Adam Thielen sort of understudy replacement. And I just, it's all right. It's all right. Let's see what happened the rest of round two. Let's full results right here. Here it goes. Full results. Let's go round one. There's your round one mock right there. And then round two, here it is. Let's see how that thing finished out. So we finished with Jack Sawyer, Kyron Lacy. We got another D lineman to the Tennessee Titans, to the Green Bay Packers, interior D line, Omar Norman Lott. Quinshawn Judkins, love this pick. Running back from Ohio State going to the Chargers. All right, we got Ashton Gillette, edge rusher from Louisville, going to the Commanders. Darian Porter, cornerback out of Iowa State, going to the Ravens. I think we took a corner for Baltimore in round one. Jaden Higgins, wide receiver out of Iowa State, going to the Bills. And they draft Dylan Sampson. Kind of like it. Eagles take Travion Henderson, running back out of Ohio State. I love the next two picks. Kansas City, Gunnar Helm, tight end out of Texas. And the Lions take Mason Taylor, tight end out of LSU. I like both of those players. Both of those fits. My favorite pick after we made the Kyron Lacy to Carolina pick, which now that I say it's giving me big Terrace Marshall LSU vibes, but this is a whole different regime. It's got to be Judkins to the Chargers. I mean, you talk about a team scheme fit, Quinshawn to the Chargers. There it is right there. Appreciate y'all, folks. Again, Happy New Year. If it's your first time here, hit that subscribe button, turn the notifications on. We've got a dope NFL draft prospect overview on the channel right now of running backs Ashton Jeanty and Caleb Johnson, and a brand new one on Luther Burden dropping this week as well. Stick around, and if you want some fantasy football content, go check out the other channel, DDFFB, for dope fantasy football content. It's all draft all the time. Excited about the Senior Bowl. Appreciate y'all tapping in. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.